Where's the best place for content on the world of Ice and Fire?
Right over there. See where I am pointing with my dagger? I just found
Sporking News Podcast. With me, Sporking. Make sure you like and subscribe. All right, everybody. Welcome to a Spork of Ice and Fire. I am Scott, and tonight we are going to be talking about the Great Empire of the Dawn. Tonight we leave behind the battle of fire, blood, steel, and ice, and journey east into myth. Mr. Grant Gregory, the Great Empire of the Dawn, said to be the first and greatest civilization, ruled by emperors of gemstone and shadow. Did they cause the long night? Did they birth Valeria? And why does Westeros still bleed from their cracks in time? As George R. R. Martin once said in an interview, the past is not dead in my books. It's not even past. So wrap yourself up in your favorite Stark cloak. Get yourself a hot cup of honey wine. What do they call it again? Milk of the poppy. And let's talk the Great Empire of the Dawn. And with me tonight is Mr. Grant Gregory. How are you, sir? Sir?
Yeah, doing good, buddy.
All right. What do you know? I mean, you're pretty deep into the lore like I am. What do you know about the Great Empire of the Dawn?
Not an awful lot from memory, because it was something that we haven't had a proper perspective of it. We've only had third and fourth hand countings of it. And I feel like most of the stuff that we've got, George likes to play a little bit fast and loose with the truth. I feel like that most of it is pure myth.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, it's interesting that he's gone and developed so much lore and like backstory to it, but he hasn't written really anything for it. Like, we've never had anything from that perspective, or we haven't had anything from something around that time.
Well, let's not give him any ideas.
Well, I mean, I feel like George, because I know you're watching.
Right, he always does.
You should probably do that instead of doing Wins a Winner, because that's actually more interesting.
Yeah,
because that's what the fans really want.
That's truly what we want. Hey, Kirsty Angel, let me know if there's anything messed up with my video. If so, I'll just go Avatar. I've been having some problems getting live, but we are here now. So, can't wait to see if the Bloodstone Emperor is more Sauron or more Littlefinger with like a meteor fetish. You'll figure it out once we get into it. But before we talk about that, Grant, you were bringing up some information about the HBO shows.
Yeah, so the managing director, one of the guys from HBO, after the Emmys after party, said that in January we will be getting Duncan Egg.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be coming out, and then he said the season 3 of House of Dragon will only just miss like the Emmys nominations for next year, and the cutoff to that is the 30th of May.
Okay.
When he says it's only just gonna, like he said, it's gonna be so close, it's only just gonna miss out. You got to assume that that means June.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there's a good chance
yeah.
that yeah. And then he said that would be the schedule over the next 2 years.
Okay.
So HBO's never given us more than one thing of the Song of Ice and Fire,
Mm-hmm.
but like if we're gonna get 6 episodes and then 8 to 10 episodes twice a year, I mean, I'd rather that than 8 episodes every 2 years.
Right. Right. That would, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you want to give us a little bit more in between and then give us more meat to watch, I'd be happy with that. I don't know about you, but well, you just said it, but I don't know. I'm sorry. Right now, I'm looking at, we have 2 streams, one waiting and one that's live. I don't know. Sorry about it if anybody got confused. Keep talking, buddy. So,
Yeah,
when
like
was supposed
mind
to
if
come out?
if
When
in
was
the
it
meantime we got some of those other spin-offs that they were talking about. He didn't mention anything else to do with uh uh the Sea Snake animated series.
Mhm.
No, there's nothing about that. Like, I feel like they need to take more of the not necessarily like Marvel approach or the DC universe approach, but we can't wait 3 years for 2 months worth of content.
No, no,
Um,
not at all.
and like I've gone back and I've rewatched season 2 of House of the Dragon, and like Eamon has 21 minutes of screen time, yet he feels like he did way more than what Daemon or Rhaenyra did.
Right. Which
And
is
like,
crazy.
yeah, like you could almost take out the blacks in season.
Mhm.
That's
2?
not a hate crime. That's what they're called.
Right.
Yeah, you can almost take them out in season 2, and nothing will really change. Like, and there's all this extended and extra narrative to the story that's not there. Like, Daemon never said that he wanted to take over Rhaenyra's crown.
Right.
People were telling him what he was thinking, and
Yeah.
his response is, "Well, why shouldn't I?" You know. Yet this whole narrative that Daemon had to go through this 5-episode arc of tripping balls to finally realize he doesn't want to be king. He didn't want to be king. He just
Right.
wanted a strong ruler.
And you know what was even worse about that too is that um it took away, not even that he wanted to be king or ruler, but it took away any like growth he made through that weird mushroom, like couple months tripping from that witch. And it was just like that last vision was like, okay, it's Rhaenyra, even though it was Danny, but it's Rhaenyra. I'll follow her. That's the only reason I'm going to follow her. It wasn't anything like he grew from it, learned from his mother, the issues with his mom, issues with his brother. No, it was just, oh, okay. I just need to follow Rhaenyra because the vision told me that's how this ends.
But the thing of it is, it's not even that. It shouldn't have even been about Rhaenyra. It should have been about his son, the one who ends up,
right,
on the throne. Like, because Rhaenyra is not even recognized as a queen.
right. It's messed up, man.
Yeah, like it doesn't make, if you're going to get all these visions and everything like that, the direct line to that is through your son.
Right. And that's, yeah, 100%. So why do you think they do that? Is it still the identity politics stuff, or, like, I hate going there, but it almost like lines up for it, right?
Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, I feel like they went out of their way to make sure that we know that the blacks are the good guys
Mm-hmm.
in this, but there is the point of it, there is no good guys and bad guys in this. That was the whole point of it. It
Right,
was
they're all great.
it was the greed of two sides of the one family that tore apart an entire realm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Robert's Rebellion would be interesting, but the problem is we've seen everything up to it. It would only work purely and simply as a movie or about a battle.
Mm-hmm.
Because what new information could we gain out of Robert's Rebellion?
You
that
know,
we don't already know?
only the Tower of Joy type stuff.
Yeah, but I mean that was
Well,
after it.
Well,
That
no.
he'd already won by that stage.
What I'm saying is all that led up, Tourney of Harrenhal, what really happened. Rhaegar and Lyanna with Benjen. Did he know?
Yeah.
Did he let them go? You know what I mean? Like we can learn a little bit more, but you're right. A lot of that we already know. But I think I still would love to watch it. If they did it.
I mean, yeah, I think it would be good for the battle thing, but like, who do you get to play? Like, do we get the guy who played young Ned? He's in the Rings of Power to play him. Like,
no, I mean you would have to change that up. You're right. I would want them to be more faithful to the books and make them much younger, but because I mean, you can't make it because of the show. If you're going to be in the show world, you have to make them in like their mid 20s instead of like late teens because they're in their mid to late 30s, early 40s in the show. So I don't know, but it's good information. Now, I was looking forward to giving. I am still going to give Duncan Egg a chance because I love those novellas, but I don't know the track record for me since about season 5, and on, just with a burp for House of Dragons season 1 because Patty just did an amazing job as King Varys.
but even taking if you take Patty out of the first season, it was still a great season. That's the thing. Like, it's not great because of Patty. It was the icing on the cake, the thing that we never expected.
Right.
I think everyone nailed it. Like Millie Alcock was phenomenal as it's like even Kristen Cole. Like he's a completely different character. Like I just don't understand. Like I mean, obviously Sapochnik had a lot of creative input.
Right.
And I mean that's the only thing I can think that the reason that it changed.
Right.
And narratively how things happened in it don't make any sense. Like I don't put it on the same level as like season 7 and 8 of like Game of Thrones, but like to say that it was anything above mid, I feel is disingenuous. It's like when people say, "Oh, it's a 1 out of 10." No, it's not. It's not that bad.
Right.
But it's internally inconsistent constantly.
Well,
and it just
unbelievably. How I always said it was, what did I say? Like every odd episode and every even had different writers, same writer group for odds, different writer group, but the same people for all the evens, and they weren't allowed to talk to each other. Because one character be one way in episode 1 and completely different. You would have Aemon crying fetal position naked about killing, and then the next episode burning down a whole city.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because he killed once, now he can kill all. It was just there was no continuity and there was no like slow progression. It was just escalation. It was weird.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. Like they fundamentally like Aemon in the books is I've come to terms is that Aemon Targaryen is not the dragon rider from the books. He's a completely new character because everything that he did is completely different to the book. His whole motivation is completely changed. He refused to sit on the throne. He refused to call himself the regent. He just wanted to be known as the protector of the realm. Like he was holding his throne for his brother.
Yeah, he was doing everything right to keep the vultures from picking his brother's bones, but yet in the show,
but now he's the biggest carrion out of all of them. Like
it sucked how they did him wrong big time. I don't know anybody who read the books that could say that they did anything correct when it came to Aemon in season 2. Definitely.
But I'm also tired of this freaking narrative. It's like, well, it's an unreliable narrative, so therefore it doesn't matter. I'm like, no. You've got 3 options that they say, and you pick a completely different one that completely changes the motivation of all of it, like the removal of Mushroom, I think was a huge mistake. But that was a political thing because they didn't want to have another dwarf in there.
Right.
Um,
I mean, he's a lot like Tyrion, just not maybe he's as cunning, but not as he plays dumb. I don't know. I think they were worried about showing him in that light, but he's like a
but he was a jester. That was the thing. He's a mixture between like Tyrion and like Varys sort of thing.
Yep.
He's not a manipulator, but he's always there. Probably more close to like how we were first introduced to Laris, where he's just sitting amongst the women and everything, and because in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, those who are crippled are seemed less than and not a threat,
right?
And he uses that. That's that's what it was like.
Yep, and a lot of times Tyrion was the type of character that broke that model, while what's his name? I just blanked on his name. Mushroom played within that character, but there was definitely.
Tyrion, no matter what room he was in, he was always the biggest bloke in the room. Where Mushroom was the complete opposite.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens on the new shows and the new seasons. But we are here to talk about the Great Empire of the Dawn. So to start off, our main evidence comes from the World of Ice and Fire, specifically the sections on Yi and Ashai. Maesters call them myths, but the ruins, the black stones, the 5 forts, they suggest otherwise. As Gurm told fans on his Not a Blog a while back, every myth has some root in history, but that root may be buried deep. That's our method tonight: fact, inference, and speculation. I trust Fuse Stone personally over the Maesters, ink. So I'll say that right now. I like to, there is something about that. We keep getting shown that black, oily stone and have no clue where it's from. No one does. It's ancient, and it's in multiple places throughout Planetos, but yet
probably the same place that they got the Cedar Drift mark,
right? Or the sea stone chair for the Iron Islands, or the base of the High Tower. There's multiple places where it's at, and we see sometimes described as just black stone, sometimes oily black, wet black. So we'll get into that. But who and what is or was the Empire of the Dawn? So they're so-called the first empire of men. The Great Empire of the Dawn. Yi-Ti's histories tell us that the empire began with the god on earth, said to be the child of the Lion of Night and the maiden maid of light. He reigned for 10,000 years, a number so vast it shouts myth, right? But still tells us how deeply this figure was revered, kind of like in Chinese, the Yellow Emperor, the first emperor. After him came
racist
a little bit, I guess. I never thought about it till you just said that. After him came a dynasty of mortal rulers known as the Gemstone Emperors and Empresses. They branded their reign on jewels, I guess. The way Westeros, likes nicknames like the Young Dragon and the Conciliator, but theirs is more cosmic and more ritual. Whoever created these names, and we have a list of them. Okay, though much of it comes from Yi-Ti myth and Ashai records, so the line blurs between history and allegory. So the line of gemstones goes. It starts with the Jade Emperor, fertility, prosperity, growth. That's what these gems represent. Pearl Emperor, purity, peace, the sea. Tourmaline Emperor, expansion, exploration, trade. Onyx Emperor, darkness, war, strict rule. Topaz Emperor, golden, plenty, wealth, splendor. Opal Emperor, mysticism, prophecy, and visions. Amethyst Empress, so the first and only empress. Wisdom, beauty, the last true ruler. And then you had the Bloodstone Emperor, and that's the title he was given by the people after the betrayal. We don't know if he had a different name before this, but he's usurper. He was a necromancer, cannibal, they say, and worshipped a black meteor that fell to Planetos. Kind of makes you think about something else.
Like what?
Black oily stone, maybe. And so the Amethyst Empress was the last of her line. Her brother, known in legend as the Bloodstone Emperor, usurped her throne. His wickedness brought the long night. And that's from the World of Ice and Fire. So I don't know, for 10,000 years, a divine light to brother with with a meteor. This divine light was slaughtered or overthrown by her brother with a meteor cult. Westeros should be, thankful. I don't know that Aegon didn't have any brothers, but we'll go deeper into any of the quotes from books or George in interviews talking about them. But there's enough information about the Great Empire of the Dawn that somehow, in some way, it must affect the main story. Did they, Yi came first and then Valeria, but did they, remnants of the Great Empire of the Dawn, disappear into Ashai? And did they teach, people how to ride dragons? I don't know who they were because we never know. But, there was this mythical, but yet there is proof of a great empire. I lean towards it's a real thing in the world of Planetos. What do you think?
I think I agree with the Maesters. I think it's all myths. I think back then there was all a bunch of different savages and everything. There wasn't any great, huge empire, because I feel like if there was, what happened to it? Like, why did it become so? Well, I mean, look at Ashai or where it is now. It's very
it's close.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's one of those ones where it's hard. It's really hard to say.
Okay,
basically,
we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna get to it. I like that. I do like that because we will get there, and we will get to the chat too. So, Grant, if you see any good questions or anything, let star them or pop them up. I'm going to move on to the next. How we think their civilization ended. Because I don't know. Did I skip one? No, I'm sorry. That's my bad. We'll go to emperors and court culture next, and the little bit that we have of it hopefully gives us a little bit more info. People are still asking me what happened to the stream. I feel like an idiot. Sorry about that, people. 1 second.
Oh no, what happened?
I don't know how we ended up with two separate ones. That's so weird. All I did was edit. But all right. So emperors in court culture. These rulers weren't just monarchs. They presided over society where faith, astronomy, and power were indistinguishable. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Their
could be the word you're looking for.
I think so. Their courts were filled with star priests who read the heavens, shadow binders who claimed to master life and death, and architects who raised vast stone monuments aligned with celestial events. Their thrones weren't simply political seats. They embodied the cosmic balance of light and dark, day and night. The Bloodstone Emperor corrupted it all, taking rituals meant to keep the seasons and stars in harmony and twisting them into dark sorcery, turning what had been a sacred calendar into an age of apocalypse. Now, is it that let me read the quote from the World of Ice and Fire. He practiced dark arts, necromancy, torture, and feasted on human flesh. So
he sounds like a nice bloke.
Yeah, I mean, good guy. What's up, Sonny? Listless, how are you, Stig? But one thing, a lot of people think the long night may have caused the seasons to warp and, the children doing something and the long night happening, but could it have been even back further than that, where something the Bloodstone Emperor did caused these seasons, where they did rituals to the stars and to the heavens to keep the seasons and the harmony with the earth going. He twisted it with black magic. Could he have been the one that sparked off these long seasons?
I mean, if that's the case, there's way more magic and power in the Song of Ice and Fire. Because at the end of the day, he was just a man.
Right.
He wasn't anything. He wasn't anything special.
Right.
To be able to harness that.
They say
that
they
sort of
were
power.
gods. They were gods.
Yeah, but we know that they weren't gods. Like,
right? Were they?
Well, where are they?
They went. Okay. Hold on one second. I did have it right here. Let me find it. Everything went weird when we did that.
To me, they sound more like soothsayers of the past. They I can read the stars, and this is what this means, and this is that, but it's always after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
If they had the ability to essentially change the seasons and do everything like that, then that, as I said, that's the most powerful magic that there is. Dragons can't do shit to that.
They were like, oh, were they even before dragons? Like,
they might have been.
Yeah, that's something I don't know if they were before or after. In a way, it seems like they were before.
Because if you had that sort of power, how do you not have the world?
Right.
Aegon and his sister wives were able to conquer basically the entire world with 3 dragons, and we're talking about a power that will supersede that. The ability to control not only the weather, how long it goes for, but essentially responsible for what the biggest, scariest thing that's ever happened in history.
Right. Well, I know that they don't. Now with the dragons, that's a little separate because we hear about the dragons. Like Yi Ti has already been around for a very long time. Valeria is just farmers and shepherds. And then we start hearing about where dragon taming came from. So I don't remember if the Great Empire of the Doran ever had dragons as they ever tamed them. You know what I mean?
So that was just wild back then?
Yeah, I believe so. They were wild even more east of Ashai, off the map pretty much. But all right,
do we know that there was dragon? I know there's dragon bones that have been mentioned over there, but do we know for a fact that there were dragons roaming around there?
Yeah. Well, we knew they were in Westeros at one point, and they were in Essos. The ones in Westeros, I believe, were bigger than the ones in Essos. Essos. They went extinct.
It makes sense. There's, you're talking about a desert climate,
right?
For most of it, so there's not the food,
right? Open grass,
the water.
But we don't hear a lot about hurting animals and stuff. But I don't know. But with the Bloodstone Emperor, or I'm sorry, the Jade Emperor, the first, said to have reigned for centuries in the earliest age after the God on Earth's ascension. Legend credits him with teaching men agriculture and the rhythms of the season, ushering in an age of green abundance that lasted perhaps 500 years or more in mythic time. His reign became the archetype of a golden dawn of plenty before later emperors shifted focus to sea, war, mysticism, stuff like that. All right. So
did you say he was the first?
No, I actually think there was one before.
I thought he was the third. Because it was the Pearl Emperor was before him. Was that his father?
The Pearl came before the Jade.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, I thought Jade came after. Did I list it wrong? Crap.
No, you're saying the same thing, just in a different way.
No, am I saying Jade is the father of Pearl?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
I have to look at
Because
the.
I'm pretty sure Pearl was the father, and then there was Jade.
Did I write that down wrong? I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
No, I mean I haven't researched this because I didn't realize this was going to be our topic. Otherwise, I would have looked at. I'm just going off memory.
Right, I got you. I will look in the book because that's where I got it. I probably wrote it down. Dawn Age. Sorry, everybody, but that's how our streams go. I hope you're enjoying it. Let's see. Dawn Age. Seven Kingdom. Beyond.
Because we have no idea what time it was. It was just long ago.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely
So-
before ET and those. We know that much.
Is that how you pronounce it?
ET. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
What do you think it is? Yai Tai?
That's what whenever I've read it, that's how I read it in my head.
Yeah. No, I can see that too. That's
But then again, like hearing the way that George pronounces half the stuff, like the Dothraki, I'm
right.
like the what? Okay.
Dothraki. Yeah. Everything the way I pronounce stuff, I'm like, like just making up one. Brian. Oh, it's Brian. Oh, okay, my bad. All right. Yeah.
So listless reception says, I think the emperors may have represented different schools of magic, and maybe they fought each other and destroyed them, or they could have created horrible things that destroyed them. Like a kraken.
Right. And I also like. There's a part of me that thinks the name, like the Jade Emperor, talking about growth and prosperity and stuff like that, was like an age. It wasn't the emperor. It was that time, that 500, 1,000 years. And they just had like a certain emperor's name. But
certain things, like you've got the reign of Jaehaerys, like that's talking about while he was still alive, but the peace from Jaehaerys went all the way through to the Dance of the Dragons, what he established.
Right.
So like it could be something like that when they said that, he ruled for 500 years, or his rule was 500 years before something changed.
Right.
Because if everything's working, then why was there need to change anything?
No, that's a good point, man. Sorry about this. I really have been prepared lately. This one I think I might have screwed up. Okay, so in order. Yeah, I did screw that up. I am so sorry, guys. It was the first one was the God on Earth.
Yeah, God Emperor, or the God on Earth, or whatever they want to call him.
Right.
Then it was the Pearl. Then it was the Jade, from memory.
Right. It goes Pearl, Jade. Then I think I had it in the right order: Tourmaline, Onyx, Topaz, Opal, Amethyst. Okay, so I did screw that up. I am sorry. Let me just. I knew I missed someone. I definitely knew I missed one. I just didn't realize, that I screwed that up greatly. That really pisses me off because I had this going, dude.
Yes. So Tourmaline, Onyx, Opal, or Topaz next?
It goes Pearl, Jade, Tourmaline, Onyx, Topaz, Opal,
then Amethyst.
Yeah.
Because Amethyst was the last one, correct?
Right. Yeah, she was
the Amethyst was the woman.
She was the first empress, and
yeah,
it kind of sets up the narrative that even back, going back to this great Empire of the Dawn, they still didn't want a woman ruling. They wanted it to be a hierarchy of male.
Well, look what happened. You had 7 guys beforehand, and the woman does it, and it's the last time that anyone's in charge. Like,
yeah, that could be it. All right. Let's see.
Because the Bloodstone Emperor, that was the one that killed Amethyst.
Yes.
right?
Well,
Okay.
there's
Or
different
usurped. Or what?
usurped. So we have again, let's see, the god emperor, the first ruler said to be the son of the lion of night and the maid of. So I did put it in there. I just forgot to put him. Reigned for 10,000 years, brought peace and prosperity, taught men laws, agriculture, and art. Then you go to the pearl. Okay, so let me flip that. I don't know why I did that. Purity, peace, the sea. Said to have reigned for 4 centuries. His rule was remembered as an age of tranquility and harmony with the oceans. Trade blossomed along coastlines, maritime laws and rituals were created and codified, and temples by the sea flourished. I wonder sometimes if that had to do also if they stretched as far as the Mother Rhine. Um, Myths credit him with calming storms and guiding fleets, turning the empire outward towards naval power and spiritual purity of the waters. His reign is often painted as the Silver Age of calm before the expansionism of later emperors. So yeah, then you get the Jade Emperor. Go ahead.
So sorry. Also, I don't think when you're talking about the God Emperor initially, it wasn't 10,000 years. It was 1,000 years, because that's how they would word it. So
is that more than the 10,000?
it's between 10,000 and a million, essentially. Because the way in which George is stated, the way in which they do their numbering system is 1,000 is it. But then the God Emperor brought more knowledge into it, I think. Or was it the Pearl that did that? I can't remember which one did.
So in the book, it says, in the dawn of days, the God on earth ruled for 10,000 years. Maybe that's the exact from the text.
Oh.
Yeah. But when you just said that, it made me think, okay, that sounds correct. But yeah, that's how it's exactly written in the book. I don't know if there's different maybe changes that he did.
Which book are you looking? Which one's that from? Is that from World of Fire?
Yeah. Probably a different page than the one I have. But somewhere in here that I saw that, and then I remember I forgot exactly what chapter it's in, because you have Yeti, they talk about that. They talk about how did I shut this?
Because we don't really know, like, the timing. Because they've given us the 1,000 years or the 10,000 years for that. The Pearl, the God, but like Jade, Opal, all those other ones, I don't think it's ever mentioned how long they ruled for.
Oh no, it does. And I don't know why, like, for some reason I was saying centuries, but like the Pearl Emperor, he reigned for 1,000 years, and his people knew naught but peace, plenty, and contentment. The Jade, 1,000 years he ruled, whilst his kingdom grew and prospered. The Tourmaline, 1,000 years he ruled. The Empire knew arts and great works. The Onyx, 1,000 years he ruled, and he made strong the arm of the Empire. The Topaz, 1,000 years he reigned, and the Empire grew rich in wisdom and learning. I thought it started going down from there, but it still says 1,000 years for the Opal, and the gods were honored above all. The Amethyst, it says she ran for 1,000, but I know she didn't.
She didn't run for, there's no way with
Right.
that.
Exactly.
Here's the thing, like, by the time you get down there, you'd be like, what, once you're up to like 995 years, you'd be like, shit, 1,000 years seems to be the limit where shit happens. Like, was it 1,000 years and then what, they died, they ascended?
Yeah, that's well. I only know that he ascended the first.
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
So
Well, that's why
hold
they
on,
call
right
it
here.
God one like that.
From the mountains. Just had it again and I lost it. I know it's in the bones and beyond section.
Because I
Thousand.
know it said that he ascended to the stars to join his forebearers. So in other words, so like the Lion of the Night and the Maiden of the Light.
Right.
So they ascended,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't hear anything else about any like ascension's not really a thing that's ever discussed in anything.
Right. No, that's true.
I mean, they could have changed. Yeah, Brian says they changed bodies. I mean, I could get that. Maybe you know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think I figured it out. They were all Roose Bolton. They're all vampires.
So here we go. The formed single realm ruled by the God on earth, the only begotten son of, like we said, the Lion of Night and the maid of light, who traveled about his domain in a palanquin carved from a single pearl and carried by 100 queens, his wives. For 10,000 years, the great empire of the dawn flourished in peace and plenty under the God on earth until last he ascended to the stars to join his forebears. All right, so I'm going to just read. Oh God, I'm just going to read it directly from.
I'm glad I remembered. I'm glad I remembered that quote almost exactly.
Yeah. So what's a palanquin is like chariot, I guess, or like one of those ones that they carry.
Oh, I thought that was a type of beaver animal. Palanquin.
So yeah, palanquin.
Palanquin. Okay, yeah. So it's a portable, enclosed, or open top bed couch that one person sits on that can be carried.
Yeah.
So it's put on the shoulders of people. So.
Right. Okay. So then you had domain over mankind, then passed to his eldest son, who was known as the Pearl Emperor and ruled for 1,000 years. The Jade Emperor, the Tourmaline Emperor, the Onyx, the Topaz, the Opal Emperor followed in turn, each reigning for centuries. So we don't know if it was 1,000, but it does say, yet every reign was shorter and more troubled than the one preceding. For wild men,
wasn't the blood kept getting diluted, so the divine power or whatever it was,
well, it says
made them more human by the end.
Well, it said, yet every reign was shorter and more troubled than the one preceding it, for wild men and baleful beasts pressed at the borders of the great empire. Lesser kings grew prideful and rebellious, and the common people gave themselves over to envy, lust, murder, incest, gluttony, and sloth. When the daughter of the Opal Emperor succeeded him as the Amethyst Empress, her envious younger brother cast her down and slew her, proclaiming himself the Bloodstone Emperor, and began a reign of terror. He practiced dark art, torture, necromancy, enslaving his people, took a tiger woman for his bride, feasted on human flesh, and cast down the true gods to worship a black stone that had fallen from the sky. Listless receptionist. Many scholars count the Bloodstone Emperor as the first high priest of the sinister Church of Starry Wisdom, which persists to this day in many port cities throughout the known world. In the annals of the further east, it was the Blood Betrayal, as his usurpation is named, that ushered in the age of darkness called the Long Night. Despairing of the evil that he had been unleashed on earth, the maid of light turned her back upon the world, and the Lion of Night came forth in all his wrath to punish the wickedness of men. So how long the darkness endured, no man can say, but all agree it was only when a great warrior known variously as Hyracune the Hero, Azor Ahai, Yin Tar, Nephirin, and Eldric Shadowcaster arose to give courage to the race of men and led the virtuous into battle with his blazing sword Lightbringer, that the darkness was put to rout and the light and love returned once more. But the great Emperor of the Dawn, after the darkness, was not reborn. So I screwed that
I
up.
think it's also if you remove Amethyst out of it and you look at the emperors, I mean, we are left with 7. 7 is another big number with it, like, and you could look at like the God Emperor as the equivalent of the father in the Faith of the Seven.
Yep.
I mean, there are connections. Like the Jade Emperor could be the Smith, because there was a lot of like craftsman stuff that was going on
Trade
during that
Blossom.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Onyx, I think, would be warrior. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yep. I mean, you could break them down. Even some parts of each of the male emperors could be the stranger plus the 3 males.
Well, I mean, Pearl would be the mother. Like it would because it's continuing the father's work, but in a more caring and nurturing sort of way.
Or also, they could just be throwing the maiden lady of light, into there.
That could work too. Yeah.
And you have the maid, who is the Amethyst Empress.
Yep.
But you do have a point. If you wanted to, just take the idea of the Pearl Emperor, and he is more of a crone or motherly figure.
I think Topaz would be crone. A lot more prophecy and that sort of thing based on it. And
Opal, you mean mysticism, prophecy, right? It wasn't it Opal?
Well, I think mysticism on that Opal would probably be closer to the stranger.
Okay, I think I actually wrote a little bit about that down here too, because
that could be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, man. Yolk man, what's up? Oh, he's at a Red Sox game. Sweet guys, I
sorry for your loss.
I shared his link on my X account to a 5K charity race that he's taking part in for autism and autism research. So please check that out. Danes came from somewhere else with their meteor, and they have purple eyes. Yeah, I have a feeling they are the blood of the old Great Empire of the Dawn. I truly believe the Danes and maybe even the first men were that leftover race that kind of took off, like they disappeared.
Where do you think the Valerians
we'll get into that
and all that would fit in with that? You think they would be, because they are the closest beings in the books anyway to the divine. They're the ones that they live longer, they got temperature things, they rarely get sick.
Right. They have those shade of eye colors, and then to connect them even more, Dany has a vision where she sees eye colors, and it's the order. So it's like she sees the color pearl, jade, tourmaline, onyx, topaz, opal, amethyst. So like she sees these colors in one of her visions. So that to me connects them. Maybe.
Do you reckon that was the color of their eyes?
Well, I wonder. I have it listed. I have her quote list or that vision.
Yep.
But I thought it was eye color. But we'll get to Valeria in a minute. So like we were saying before, the rulers aren't just monarchs. They're like almost, the first was a god emperor. And it was almost like George took a bit from the pharaohs and the early Chinese emperors. They became the first emperor of China was the Yellow Emperor, I believe, and he did come down like 10,000 years and then leave. He ascended into heaven. And then the ones that followed him believed they were divine. And that's kind of what happened here. Now, these colors could be times of prosperity, 1,000 years where they expanded into the waters and things like that. A couple 100 years of war, hundred.
Yeah, like how we have like the Bronze Age and Silver Age and
Right.
that sort of thing.
Right, but even like lengths of age in the Bible, before the New Testament. Moses living for hundreds of years, Abraham hundreds of years. It's just, they give them a bigger than life mystical age, but I think it also falls under what happened during that age. They give that to that emperor, like, oh, the God on Earth emperor came, but then the Opal emperor, and he started this 1,000 years of you know expansion into the waters and this and that, and then once you got that ended, oh, the next was this Jade emperor, but that was really hundreds of years of the kingdom growing and prosperity. So yeah, the Bloodstone Emperor, his usurpation triggered chaos, famine, rebellion, and like a magical backlash. Yt says the sun turned its face away. So, like I read before, and the maiden turned her face from the world, and the Lion of Night came forth in all his wrath. And this is what caused the climate catastrophe, the long night, sorcery, like dark sorcery to take hold. Maybe all of it. I don't know. Definitely catastrophe and the long night, like climate catastrophe. Either way, the world froze and humans everywhere most likely went underground. And we see remnants of that in Westeros. There are, the crypts of Winterfell could have just been a survival camp for people in the north.
Yeah.
You have under, I think, Old Town. There's other spots that have like these caverns. You have caverns in that forest in the Stormlands. Those caverns that are in the sample chapter, deep, humongous, could hold thousands and thousands of people or children. So there are a lot of, we get examples of underground. There's always like underground, you have the under the trees, caverns down to rivers. So I think,
are you saying essentially that sort of triggered like a Younger Dryas period?
yeah, good way of putting it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so
that would be one way of setting civilization back.
Yep. And if this civilization, like we're saying, was advanced, you have generations that were born and died in this long night, never seeing the sun. That could definitely set mankind back. You freezing the world.
They say the word long night, not never seeing the sun. They don't say that the sun isn't out. If you're living in caves your entire life, obviously you're never going to see the sun, and it's going to be dark.
Wow, really good point, man. Really good point. Yeah, the sun might be out and it's just snowing and really cold, but if you're living underground to survive, yeah, you may never have seen light.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really good point, man. Yeah, caves in the rain. Thank you.
I also think that if you've got generations of people born in the dark, their eyes would change and develop over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, maybe that's something to do with, the caves that are on Valyria and everything like that. Maybe that was part of the reason why the Valyrians and all that had different colored eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It was a part of being around all that, that, I mean, if it's snowing all over the world and you're underground in a volcano area, you're always going to be warm.
Yeah.
And there's different rocks. We have different materials and glowing. Like, there is a lot of extra little stuff that could go with that. Do we know how long the Bloodstone Emperor was around for? Because off memory, I don't.
Okay, hold on 1 second. His reign is known as the Blood Betrayal. Tiger Woman Bride. Black Lily Stone. Yeah, that's a good question. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, because I always thought it was kind of short, maybe like under a century, but it could, you never know. He gets a lot done.
if his thing triggered the Dark Knight and everything, so Longest Night, would because that said it went for generations. So would that could be what? That could be 20 years to 1,000 years.
Yeah. Well, see,
Was he
okay.
still
So
around?
unlike, well, it could, that's a good point too. Unlike the earlier rulers of the Great Empire, Dorne, we are not told how long he reigned. Is never specified in the world of Ice and Fire. He usurps his sister, the blood betrayal. He rules marred with dark sorcery, cannibalism, necromancy. His reign brought on the long night. And that's, generations. His reign, some people believe it was short compared to his predecessors, but who's to say this guy ever died? Who's to say he's not someone or something like the great other?
Well, I mean, he's the Church of the Starry Wisdom still exists.
Yes, and they were really big in during his time, but I believe they started prior to his time, but it definitely most likely got twisted.
I thought he created it.
I think it started a little bit before him. I could be wrong on that because some of my things I think I bubbled together. Because there was a part, where did I put it? There was something about, they didn't say it was the Church of the Starry Wisdom, but it said starry priests. And that was during, I want to say during, I'll find it, but yeah, there was definitely that was put out there. So
yeah, so I could see the connection to what you're saying, that he could be the great other.
Yeah.
If as let's just say, for instance, as punishment, you wanted to reign, you're going to reign for eternity, but you're going to be this. You're going to be forced to live in the cold. You're going to be forced to do this. These are your. I mean, like, it makes sense because his followers would be essentially necromancers.
Yes.
Like that's what the whites are. Like they resurrect. Like so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cannibalism. They, like there's a lot in there that you can pull from the long night and recognize that maybe he was this being. Maybe he's Roose Bolton, really.
Because they worship they worship like the black stone, and that would make sense that their thing that they worship could also be the thing that's dangerous to them, like dragon glass.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a black stone.
Let's see. Many readers believe that the Bloodstone rule might have been years or decade, not centuries, cut off by the long night. See, I disagree. Some extended lore writers, so people like Lucifer means Lightbringer, might have, I think, has written links the Bloodstone Emperor to apocalyptic events and argues his reign coincides closely with the onset of the long night, again pointing to short tenure. See, I say I love LML, but I would say it disguised maybe his reign ending and he became something else. I mean, with all this dark sorcery and necromancy, he could have done it, went too far and became the great other, creator of the others and the whites.
Well, there is the medial theory as well, that like the black stone that they worship is actually part of the moon, and he used some sort of medial magic to bring to crack the moon, and that's what caused the longest night.
Yeah, well, there is that story too. Yeah, they had two moons, and one moon got too close to the sun, and dragons fell when it cracked. But that's probably where those black oily stone meteorites came from, is that second moon that was supposedly in the sky. And many cultures have a story about a second moon in A Song of Ice and Fire. Just I forget which culture. I don't think it was the Dothraki, but one of the females that is like a handmaiden for Dany when she's with the Dothraki, she tells her that story, that it cracked and the dragons fell out, but it's most likely the black oily stone. It's kind of interesting. So, who are their successors? And we'll get to some other stuff too, some conspiracy stuff. Even after the collapse, echoes remained. Yi carried forward the divine emperor ideology, so explicitly tying its rulers back to the god on earth and his gemstone dynasty. And that's in the World of Ice and Fire. Notes in the Yi section. Hyrule preserved border myths and the five forts said to be older than Valeria itself. So yeah, who built the five forts if it was before Yi? Was it the Great Empire of the Dawn people trying to fight off the Bloodstone Emperor? Ashai Shadowbinders hoarded the last fragments of Dawn Age knowledge, keeping alive stories of Azor Ahai and the forging of Lightbringer. Lang continued to worship its ancient gods, with accounts that their rulers were descended from god kings who may have walked alongside the gemstone emperors. So, as Gurm writes in the World of Ice and Fire, empires rise and fall, but cultures remember, even if in song and story. So, there is parts of empires passed down, and they don't even maybe know where it's coming from.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like sayings and phrases and ways of life. We don't know, where things start. Like,
it's like bones of the Great Empire. Like it's not the full body, but it's like a little bone here, a little, some of the bones poking through, in myths, but also in institutions like the Yi and Lang rulers. They connect themselves because they were closer to the Great Empire of the Dawn, to these emperors. Now, a lot of people think they created these gemstone emperors and the god on earth, but maybe they are referring to actual beings that ruled the empire prior to the Long Night. I don't know.
Because, if the Bloodstone Emperor is true, he's got to be the ultimate bad guy in the entire story. Like, the first two, like, he murdered his sister, first to usurp the throne.
Yeah.
So he's the first usurper, then, essentially, from what we know of.
Yep.
Founded the dark starry religion. Practiced all sorts of debauchery, bestiality, black magic, and everything, and brought on the Long Night. Like, how many lifetimes would you have to do to be able to do all that sort of thing?
Yeah. Well, a lot of lifetimes, right? The listless receptionist says, so Bloodstone Emperor caused the cataclysm. Many, there is a story that connects that. We don't really get in Westeros what caused it. It was the war, the pact, the Long Night, and then the Age of Heroes after that. So we don't know what kicked it off. We get over in Essos, oh yeah, it was the Bloodstone Emperor who may have caused this cataclysm. But then you have the five forts, and that's one of the, like, people try to say this, that they never existed, but the five forts is five forts, kind of like the wall, but in Essos. I think I have it somewhere in here, but
they're fused with that black stone as well, so
right, and seamlessly fused stone that's older than Valeria, maybe built to hold back hordes from the north. Greasy black stone turns up everywhere. Ashai Yen even whispers beneath Old Town. So it's either, meteor remnants or alien architecture. I don't know. But in the book, it says the five forts are made from a fused stone that maesters cannot explain. So even the maesters can't write bullshit on that because they can't explain it. So then you go, what are the connections to Valeria, the Andals, and the First Men? Valeria may have inherited sorcery from Ashai, drawing on shadow binding and fire magic that first surfaced in the wake of the Great Empire of the Dawn's fall. The Andals' faith definitely could have. Sorry, man, my own typing sucks. I've been really good lately. I've gotten a little worse, but I've been really good.
No, I believe you. Many wouldn't, but I do.
I know you do that. Thanks, man. Valeria may have inherited, I said that, the Great Empire. The world of Ice and Fire explicitly notes that Valeria's dragon lords were latecomers compared to the Shadowlands around Ashai, which were already steeped in dark practices. So Ashai is much older, and I wonder because it's always in darkness. That during that cataclysm, was Ashai like a beautiful port city of the Great Empire of the Dawn, and this is what happened to it? Because the way Ashai is explained, it's very always dark, and dark things happen there.
Because like if it's so, it's before the age of men and it's before the age of the emperors. Like
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck could precede that?
Yeah, it had, and it's right near where the Great Empire of the Dawn was supposedly, their empire was.
Was it built to stop the Lion of the Night?
Well, that's a good question. Or did Ashai stop the night, but had to take on, that darkness and like keep it over them so it didn't spread any? I don't know. Ashai is a city wonder and terror, a vast shadow place beside the Saffron Straits, larger than Old Town or King's Landing, even larger than Valeria at the height of her power. So it's a big place, yet the population is no greater than a market town. So think of it's bigger than Valeria before the Doom at its height, but yet little market town. Not even Old Town, one of the trading towns near it, maybe. The buildings are all made of black stone, fused and oily to the touch, that seems to drink the light and the warmth from the sun. So it actually like sucks it up. Even at noon, the city is dark, the streets shadowed. The only light, the dim green glow of ghostly lamps. So, I mean, just talking about it, the black oily stone. Like, I feel like this might have been the new capital he created. Maybe that could have been what it was. Ashai was going to be his capital because he was obsessed with that stone and everything made out of the stone.
It said it's big enough. It was also big enough to house a small army.
Right.
It could have just been a.
Well, it could have housed a large army, actually. I mean, the place was huge. Its population now is very small because it's so dark, So I don't know. So then you also have the Andal's faith of the seven could be read as a cultural echo of the Lion of Night and made of light dualism, reframed into a sevenfold pantheon that justifies their wars of conquest. Now, I still think they created it basically when they got here to cover all the gods the local gods of Westeros, and they just, oh yeah, that's a lot like the Smith. Oh, you have a warrior one? We do too, but it could have been.
We have 5. Well, we have 7. We have mother and father.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right. Because if you take the Lion of Night, the stranger, the warrior, the father, and the Smith. I mean, it could be almost all of them. Maybe not the Smith, but the other 3. And the maid of light could be the maiden, the mother, maybe even the crone. I don't know. As the world of Ice and Fire tells us, the gods of the Andals were said to have led them to victory in Westeros, a phrase which may disguise older theology imports. The first men preserved fragments of this legacy in tales of Starfall, most clearly in House Dane. Their ancestral blade Dawn is said to have been forged from the heart of a fallen star, and the Danes themselves are linked to pale-haired, violet-eyed ancestors, marking them as different from other first men. So is their bloodline of Valeria?
Not in the show.
Not in the show. Or does it go back to the Great Empire of the Dawn? Their lineage carries whispers of an older world with bloodlines tied to celestial events rather than dragons. So Martin teased in a fan Q&A The Danes of Starfall are not without significance. Remember, their sword is not Valyrian steel. So he suggests Dawn and its mythical origin stands apart. Probably a pre-Valerian, maybe Dawn Age sorcery directly tied to the Great Empire of the Dawn. And that's why their sword, which could be the original Lightbringer because it reflects light so much, maybe that is the original sword of the Great Empire of the Dawn to fight the Bloodstone Emperor.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, if that's the case, does that mean that you have to have some sort of Dane blood to be able to wield it? Maybe that's part of the because if they're a direct descendant from, from the God Emperor,
Yeah,
and everything,
yeah.
Maybe that's and that's where the legend of like Azor Ahai and the last and where that all actually originates from.
Yeah, they could be family of.
Well, I mean that could put a huge spin on it, where we're thinking it's like a Targaryen or anything like that,
Right.
where it's actually the Danes are the heroes of the story,
right?
Because they are the descendants of it. They have the story because we think Valyrian steel is the best thing possible.
Right. But we are also told that Dawn has almost the same properties, as Valyrian steel, but it's like milk white and lighter. It could be that this one family knows the truth of the long night and what happened.
The sword is also described relatively similar to what the others are using.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're not using Valyrian steel.
Yeah, I've said that once before. I think we did talk about that, where like it's kind of funny how if you look at what the others are carrying in the first prelude chapter of Game of Thrones, and then how Dawn is described, it's kind of the same. Yeah,
because that does put a huge spin on the whole. Like now, my theory brain's going off. It's just like, mate, because also the way in which the sword is passed down, it's not passed down through generations. You have to earn it. You have to be chosen, or it chooses you. I don't know how it works.
right.
Well, and it's probably a reason why they are some of the best swordsmen on the planet. Maybe it has something to do with the sword itself.
Right. And like it could skip generations of the dawn of the morning, like that title.
Well, it had. That was the point.
Yeah. So let's see. Description of Dawn. Forged from the heart of a fallen star, a meteor. House Dane of Starfall guards it. Only a knight deemed worthy is called the Sword of the Morning and may bear it. We don't know what that entails.
Did you hear the wording of it, how they said it? Didn't say that they own it; they guard it.
Yeah, they guard it. Yes.
So they're not claiming ownership over it,
right? And the knight is deemed worthy. How we don't know how that is. Like what makes them worthy? Are they just a great swordsman, or do they have some special, trait that links, that's apparent that comes from the Great Empire of the Dawn? I don't know.
Arthur Dane was considered the most knightly of all knights.
That's true.
Maybe that has something to do with it.
So, unlike Valyrian steel, Dawn is pale as milk glass, alive with light. The sword Dawn was forged from the heart of a fallen star. Its blade was pale as milk glass, alive with light. That's a Storm of Swords appendix. It's not said to be Valyrian steel, definitely, but it's compared in sharpness and strength. Symbolism: Dawn embodies light, celestial origins, and heroism. Some theorize it's tied to the last hero or Azor Ahai myths. So now we describe the White Walker's ice sword, described as pale, crystalline, and cold. The other sword was alive with moonlight. Okay, so Dawn is described as it's alive with light. The other sword was alive with moonlight, translucent, a shard of crystal so thin it seemed it might shatter at the touch, yet it would slice through ring mail as if it were silk. So, um, with a single blow, it shattered Garen's sword, breaking it like water on a rock. Um, the appearance mirrors the wielder, cold, deadly, and human, but this idea of night, so it's alive with the night, moonlight, and then you have dawn that's alive with light, daylight. I mean, don't tell me that's not dual.
I mean, George is very on the nose with a lot of the names and stuff. Like, I mean, we're talking about the Great Empire of the Dawn, and what's the sword called?
Dawn.
Yeah, like, I mean,
And
it's the sword of dawn. Like, it makes sense.
yeah, morning, rebirth, dawn, after darkness. I mean, that's the morning. Um, a weapon from the heavens carried by mortal men. Light, sun, stars, heroism, life. But then you have the other sword, ice sword, darkness, moonlight, death, stillness, unnatural, shattering mortal steel, associated with the long night, endless winter, death of the world, darkness. Like, it is the
Okay,
complete
so
opposite, dude. We figured it out.
yeah, so if Bloodstone, if he did bring the moon down and whatever it was and shattered it and shattered everything, that could be part of it, because they said that heroes rose up in that time
Right.
to defend against him.
Yes.
This could be a gift from
Mhm.
the Father, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
from God. This could be
Right.
this could be something, because it's no.
R'hllor.
Yeah, I mean, it could. I mean, maybe that's what R'hllor is, and all these other ones. They're all different versions trying to stop the Great Other, which is still the Bloodstone. Which is, I mean, I
Look at
definitely
it
think we've
thematically. Really, look at it thematically. You have both are outside the normal world of men. One is heavenly, one is otherworldly. Dawn is a rare but mortal accessible. The others is alien and untouchable. Um, you know, some theorists suggest Dawn could be the original Lightbringer. I'm starting to believe it more and more. Or a weapon destined to fight the other's blade in the long night. Um, Dawn and the other sword mirror each other: light versus shadow, life versus death, star versus moon, light versus moonlight. One preserves life, one destroys it. I mean, there's so much more you could do. Um, it's very interesting. We're going to go even a little deeper than this because I have a section in my other um, Empire of the Dawn outline. So it's kind of interesting. So we'll get to the fan theories in a minute. Wow, that's so interesting though. So, but going back to um, the World of Ice and Fire notes that ET still venerates the maiden and the lion. So ET still has these gods alive today. Proof that the memory lingers long after the empire's fall. Gurm himself said the religions are all partly true and partly false. So what's to say these religions are all connected? You know, like the lion, the great other, the bloodstone, like they could all be one character of one aspect of the god that's more leaning to
You
dark.
mean like a god of many faces?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, man. I mean, they might be the ones that have the truest religion because they're all gods of death in some way. Right? Um, so he says that, and that lines reminds us that each system of worship may preserve a sliver of truth about the long night. In this reading, the gods themselves are cultural artifacts, uh, coping systems carved out of catastrophe, reflections of the world where the sun hid and people clung to their faith to survive. It's like divine therapy. It's pretty freaking interesting, man. I can't get past I never caught I always thought they were opposites, and we've talked about that once or twice before. I think when we were talking about that prelude or prologue chapter in a Game of Thrones, but I missed Alive with Light and Alive with Moonlight. That right there tells me they're polar opposites. They're
Yeah.
they're not the same. That's freaking awesome. Yeah, you have a lot of prophecies, visions, and dreams that come up. I have it right
Yeah,
here.
because that's what I wrote. I said like it's the meteoric origins could be like symbolism to oppose like bloodstone, the two stones from the sky, one dark, one light, as you said, moonlight versus like it all everything ties back to
It really does.
everything ties back to fucking Bloodstone Emperor. Like,
Yep. Yeah, it really does.
because like, why else would George have wrote all that, and then that's where it stops?
Right, exactly. Why would he even add it?
Because I know he wanted to go into a full world history, kind of like what Tolkien did.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's more of a I feel like all of his stories have to align somewhere along the line to tell the main story.
Mm-hmm. Like
The fact that he included this, they've got your Jade Appendium that was translated, where all the information comes from. So,
right.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a video on this.
Yeah, this might be like an actual.
We actually figured it out.
Yeah. So, prophecies, visions, and dreams. One disaster, many masks. Azor Ahai, the last hero. Eldritch Shadowcaster. Prophets saw fire, trees, or dragon dreams, each trying to prevent a repeat apocalypse. And here's where Daenerys' own vision in the House of the Undying may tie her fate back to the Great Empire of the Dawn. This is what told me in the main story that the Great Empire of the Dawn is not myth. She walks past a procession of figures in jeweled robes, emperors and empresses, glittering in jade, pearl, onyx, and amethyst. Their gemstones shining with otherworldly light. The imagery strongly recalls the gemstone dynasty. People think of Yeti, but I say of the Great Empire of the Dawn legend. So it's Yeti legend. Was it a foreshadowing that the blood of the dragon is bound to the blood of the dawn? That her destiny is entwined not just with Valeria, but with the civilization that fell long before it. In this way, her dragon dreams echo the same cosmic warning that haunted the prophets of old. Let's not forget, when the red star bleeds and the darkness gathers, Azor Ahai shall be born again amidst smoke and salt. Let me add Danny's actual quote. Let me find it real quick because it is interesting.
Yeah, I forgot that even in that, all like the ones that were mentioned were the ones that are the most reflective of light as well.
Oh, okay.
Because even with the inclusion of amethyst in there as well, that's because yeah, like the property of amethyst is when you shine light into whatever direction that you're looking at it, the way the crystals form, it reflects back directly at you.
Right.
With the way its crystalline structure works.
Mm-hmm.
Also, and then like the people, it's hidden in a rock, like in a cave system.
Right. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to find this in a second. I'm sorry, guys, but I have to find this word for word. I don't want to screw this up.
Because yeah, so let's just, I mean, maybe with what the we're talking about the media and everything, maybe that's how magic was introduced to the world. There was no magic, there was just divine power, and because these were all descendants from the god or divine or whatever you want to call it, maybe with bringing the meteor to Earth, that brought magic, because what happened last time we saw a meteor? Magic came back.
Right. Right. I mean, the comet.
Yeah.
Like the red comet in a way is like a remnant, maybe. I don't know. That's a weird one, but
it's red, it's a stone, it's like almost like it's a bloodstone.
right. And it's a bloodstone, like it makes sense, dude. It's kind of interesting. It really is. Let's see. So is her are her dragon dreams echoes of this old prophecy, or is it like just echoes of this old history that people have forgotten? You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to find it word for word. I know the visions were a thousand eyes. That's where I think you got 1,000,000.
Yeah, I knew 1,000,000 was there.
Was there? Yeah.
I couldn't. Yeah. I thought that's what it was.
Ghosts lined the hallway, dressed in the faded remnants of kings. In their hands were swords of pale fire. They had hair of silver and hair of gold and hair of platinum white, and their eyes were opal and amethyst and tourmaline and jade. Faster, they cried. Faster, faster. She raced, her feet melting the stone wherever they touched. Faster, the ghost cried as one, and she screamed and threw herself forward. A great knife of pain ripped down her back, and she felt her skin tearing open and smelled the stench of burning blood and saw the shadow of wings. And Daenerys Targaryen flew, wake the dragon. So, like,
I wonder if that's how the Amethyst Empress died.
Right.
Being stabbed in the back.
Could Valerians be a descendant of the Great Empire of the Dawn, and off the branch of Empire of the Dawn, wherever the family of the Danes were? So like two separate branches, one to defend Essos, one to defend Westeros at some point, and the Essos one got too hubris and destroyed themselves, or were destroyed. Could that be what happened to Valeria? It was supposed to be there to protect them from another long night on that side. That's why they created Valerian steel. It was like maybe their way of trying to recreate Lightbringer, Dawn. Like, I don't know.
Maybe that was the reason that the doom happened.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to forge a heavenly sword, but using what sort of magic? Blood magic.
Right. And what does blood magic bring? Catastrophe.
Death.
Right. A catastrophe. And what was the doom? A catastrophe.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Man, we might not always have it together. But
we get it together.
We get it together, bro. We really do. I don't think people realize as much, but we do.
Man, I can't wait to hear someone make a video on this in 2 weeks' time.
Like a week and a half. Yeah. So the long night's return mirrors their doom, and we can see it through each POV character who carries this legacy. Stannis styles himself as Azor Ahai Reborn, wielding Lightbringer, though the sword is a false echo of the myths of Yi Ti. His grim resolve mirrors the militarism of the Onyx Emperor, harsh law for harsh times. Then you have Dany with her prophetic dreams and jeweled visions in the House of the Undying, recalls the Amethyst Empress and perhaps even the Bloodstone Emperor, straddling the line between savior and destroyer. Maybe Jon Snow, bound to the wall, becomes the last hero reborn, a parallel to those who faced the first long night. The wall itself mirrors the five forts, both monumental bulwarks against encroaching darkness. Then, meanwhile, the Old Town Citadel suppresses lore even as its glass candles burn. Just as the Shadowbinders of Ashai hoarded truths after the Empire's fall, so does the Citadel. As Martin has said, the struggle between memory and forgetting is at the heart of history. Each POV shows us that struggle, this struggle, and reenacting the great Empire of the Dawn's doom in the present. You know, you have, again, George always talks about history repeats itself. He has characters that mirror other characters in the main story and in history. But how many of us have looked back even farther than, Aegon's conquest and forward to see who parallels what in the main story?
There is a stupid amount of parallels now that I think of it. Like, I thought he just wrote all this stuff just so he had something. I didn't realize how essentially connected it was. Like,
Yeah.
how much the past actually affects the future.
Well, is it history or is it a blueprint on how the books are going to end? Like it could be. Some of these cultures, these great empires, Great Empire of the Dawn, Valeria, these massive empires, all end in catastrophe and then become something else after. Remnants still around. The only reason we know still of Valerians is because of Aegon. If you think about it, when 10 years before the Doom, when Dany the Dreamer, warned her father and they came to Dragonstone, they could have just, made the rest of their life a little, maybe Dragonstone and some of the coastline. But because of Aegon, we still know what Valerians really are. And even then, do we? Because it's hundreds of years, 400 years since the Doom.
Yeah, because they were on Dragonstone for 100 years.
Right. So now go back centuries. And like the forts and the Black Gully Stone, I wonder, just like the wall. Song of Ice Storm of Swords, Sam 1. The wall is more than just ice and stone. What type of stone? There are spells woven into it, old ones and strong. I'd be willing to bet that the base stones are black oily stones in the wall.
In the wall?
Yeah. Just like the five forts were made of black seamless stone, I believe maybe the wall, instead of building black seamless up, they went across with it, carving the runes or spells into it, and then the ice was built on top. But the base is where the power is. Irish myth. Telutha de Danann have 4 jewels, and one is Sword of Light and Truth. Couldn't be held by a liar and prevented wielder from being defeated in battle. Symbolizes triumph of light over darkness. Full white silver moon and dark black whole moon. The 2 separate moons.
Well, I mean, all right, let's look at history repeating itself with everything as well, because that's just been rattling around in my head. I mean, where does our main story start? With a usurper.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really good point. Really good point. And it's years after. And we've gotten
I'm saying, like,
they want to tell us. Right? You're right.
The story starts with a usurper. There's a meteor. Something falls. Magic gets introduced into the world. Dragons are like, it's parallel. Yeah.
Yeah, a great
there's a bunch of heroes coming out of the woodwork. We have Stannis
Yeah.
thinking he's Azor Ahai and everything.
Yeah.
Which was talked about 10 years earlier.
Right. It's pretty intense, man. It's really interesting, I think. Um let's see. Hold
Because there's been altogether people who've been considered kings. There's been 21 kings since Aegon. It's also being a bit fast and loose with essentially claiming Rob to be king of the North.
Right.
But I mean that's also another what do you call it? It's a trinity of sevens as
Mhm.
well. They like their sevens, so
Yeah, 21. Trinity of Sevens.
yeah.
That's interesting. Can we break those sevens down into different, like, the first seven, were they closer to the opal, or you know what I mean? Like,
Okay, so the seventh one is Aegon the Third.
mhm.
Okay, there you go. Aegon. Well, technically, Jesus Christ, you could even look at another usurpation there. Like,
Yeah.
So the seventh one there, and then what happens? Dragons die
Right. That's what
on
I'm
the
saying.
seventh.
Is each seven kind of a rehashing of the emperors? You have like this godlike one almost, or at least prosperity in Aegon. But then you would think
Well, okay, so Maker was
a little
the
harder.
14th one, and then that was the end of his one, and then the new reign of seven started with Aegon the Fifth with Egg.
Oh wow. Who believe in
Um,
prophecies and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
hmm.
Well, actually, technically, if we got 20, we haven't got the 21st one because Tommen was the last one. He's number 20.
Right.
He's the 20th king. So
That's interesting.
we got a bunch of people vying for that last spot. So the
Right.
Trinity of three, a Trinity of
Yeah.
seven. I mean that's where everything's going to kick off. Whoever takes the throne next
Mm-hmm.
is in for a bad time.
Yeah. Which could easily be Aegon the Sixth, ending in usurping.
Yeah.
um, so let's go over a couple fan theories, conspiracies. There are fans that say the Five Forts were great Empire of the Dawn artifacts, vast bulwarks raised not by men but by forgotten powers. Others whisper the Bloodstone cult fled west across the seas, laying the seeds of Valeria's Dragonlord sorcery. Some argue House Dane's Dawn was crafted not merely from a fallen star, but as a deliberate counter weapon against the Bloodstone Emperor's meteor worship, which brought on the Long Night. So I don't know if they tie it completely to that, but I think we kind of close that right there. Literally, their sword was created to stop the Bloodstone Emperor. That's what Dawn is for. There are also conspiracies that the Citadel has actively suppressed this knowledge, ensuring dragons and prophecy remain marginalized. Still, more theories claim the greasy black stone found in Ashai, Yeen, and even Old Town is the last surviving trace of the Empire's magic. And mostly the Bloodstone Emperor's probably reign.
Do you think that's what Euron's after?
It could be. He has the Onyx eye, and what is the Onyx?
The warrior.
The warrior, right? If we're correct, I just want to verify.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. How crazy is that? He made strong the arms of the Empire, the Onyx Emperor, and what is granted it's obsidian, but it's black like onyx. That's pretty crazy. He believes he's like a warrior. Maybe he thinks he's one of each. Because we had Stig in our chat. put something last week, put his sigil, and it's a gray back on here. Hold on, maybe I can share it, because I feel like this has a little echoes of the Bloodstone Emperor and also the Onyx dude. I said Onyx dude. Jesus. Come on. Here we go. So you see, yeah, you have the crows, of course, which could be blood raven or the ravens. A black crown above onyx colored eye, but surrounded by the blood. I mean, he could be thinking he's some type of, you know, like Frankenstein of all these men, emperors.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know, let's see. Sub theories argue the oily black stone is not of this world at all, which I completely believe it's part of that meteor. That it is alien in origin, a remnant of the meteor, or something darker, possibly connected to the sea stone chair of the Ironborn in the ruins of Yin. Some suggest it was left by beings not human, a residue of the great empire's pacts with powers beyond. And some fans speculate that the others themselves may be a lingering weapon unleashed in the cataclysm tied to the Bloodstone's cult's rites. Gurm joked, "If you think you figured it all out, you probably haven't." So, have we? Haven't we? I don't know.
I don't think we have, but we might have.
We might have, right. So if you want to read more about the Great Empire of the Dawn, you'll find it in the World of Ice and Fire under Yiti. Also look at Ashai and the Five Forts. Read more about the Danes, Dawn. I also think throw in the Comet. The Comet has something to do with, they were very big into celestial bodies and things like that. And I think the comet is something very important. Glass candles, the wall may have a oily black stone base. And his not a blog remarks on myth versus history is kind of important. So in ending this portion, so myth or memory, the Great Empire of the Dawn is both a scar on the world and maybe the script Westeros is doomed to follow again. So if you want to follow that, like, share, and bring the dawn to the algorithm, baby. I didn't write that part. Next time, we might talk about something more cheerful, like Azor Ahai killing his wife or something. I don't know.
Nisa.
Oh man, I think we like, dude. Maybe others have said it, but you can't tell me moonlight and light with the two different swords doesn't tell us everything. You know what I mean? How dawn is light.
I think it does. I think we hit on something that I think, because not a lot of people go back and look at the stuff and look for parallels.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens when the book is taken 15 years to come out. We
rip it apart.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Hold on one second. So I know we covered the Five Forts, but I always found the Five Forts from day one, reading the World of Ice and Fire. I mean, it completely parallels. You know, you have like the North, and then what is it? The Great Waste is the other one.
The Grey Waste. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they just kind of parallel each other. And I know like one's up there and one's over here, but who's to say the planet doesn't kind of go like that? I don't know. I always wondered, could they connect?
Well, I mean, I have to somehow. Like it's obviously, but
No,
it's not. Do they connect? It's how they connect.
right. Yeah, how
And
they connect.
yeah,
That it's a really good question because everyone has come at me saying, "Well, look at it. One's in the east, the other one's in the north." But who's to say like it doesn't wrap around into a diagonal in the back end? Because we don't. No one has a clue. The Sunset Sea. No one has ever reached land going west.
I
So
mean, there could be something in Southernos as well, for
yeah,
all we know.
yeah, that's true. Um, so let's see. Hold on one second. I'm sorry.
So I mean, it could be. So the reason the five forts could have been built could be, as I said, if it's before the Emperor, before the Lion of the Night, maybe it was built in defense of the Lion of the Night,
Yeah, or
to hold the Lion of the Night out. And the reason why we don't know anything about it was because he conquered it.
yeah, or hold
That's
the
why it sits empty.
Bloodstone Emperor. Maybe even though like the Gray Waste might have been something different before the Long Night, and the forts were actually looking to the west, not to the east. You
But
know,
they were built. They were built before the Bloodstone Emperor.
they were.
Yeah, they were built. They were built before. They predate the emperors altogether.
I thought they predated the Yi emperors. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me look at. You might be right. I might have misread that.
Because that was what I was saying. Like, what was before them? That's why I was saying maybe it was built. That's why I kept saying that it could have been built to stop the Lion of the Night.
Oh, see, I thought it was built after the Bloodstone Emperor. I think it was built after the Bloodstone Emperor's usurping. Let me see. Located on the border between Yiti and the Gray Waste, 1,400 feet tall. 1,400, right? And isn't what's the wall is only 700, right?
800.
Oh, 800. So these are 1,400 feet tall, made of smooth, fused black stone and stretching for hundreds of leagues. Said to be able to hold 10,000 men each, they have stood for thousands of years. Some claim the five forts were raised by the Pearl Emperor of the great empire of the Dawn. Others claim they predate the empire itself, the work of some older, vanished race. So you have a
Yeah,
point.
that's what I thought. That was the part that I remembered.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly does. But it leaves it, ambiguous.
Because I'm saying if it was built, before then maybe it was built, as I said, to stop the Lion.
Yeah. So it would be like, yeah, constructed before the God on Earth and his line. Maybe it was trying to stop the lion from, because the God on Earth is the son of the lion and the maiden of light. Maybe it was trying to stop the lion from getting to this maiden, creating the God on Earth.
Maybe it was its own Tower of Joy.
Mm-hmm. So their placement on the edge of the Great Waste leads to speculation they were fortifications against the others or some other northern threat during the first long night. Yiddish
Well, I mean
chronicles.
that makes sense. Like, I mean, the only other thing that we have in history that's built like that is the wall, designed to keep out
Right.
the others.
And you
So
have Yiddish chronicles say they were trying to keep out the demons of the north. So they could be the same as the White Walkers. Yeah, against the long night. So the wall is ice, magical, manned by the Night's Watch. The five force is black stone fused, possibly magical, most likely abandoned though. but both suggest a global defense against the Long Night. I wonder if it was also part of a defense used to defend against the Bloodstone Emperor from spreading his Long Night catastrophe.
Yeah, it could have been repurposed. Definitely.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, unless it was designed to keep the Grey Waste out itself.
Like trying to stop the Grey Waste itself.
Yeah, maybe it was expanding. Maybe that was what it was designed to do. Something that tall.
Well, let's read what is the Grey Waste. Okay, located in the far northeast of Essos, past ET, the Shadowlands, and the mountains near Ashai, described in the World of Ice and Fire as a cold, bleak land where nothing grows and death waits for all. Said to be empty of life, shrouded in shadow and legend, adjacent to the Shadowlands and stretches up towards the uncharted Arctic like waste at the top of the Essos map. Beyond the wall, the northernmost region of Westeros above the wall, desolate, icy, home to the free folk, the haunted forest, and the others. At the map's edge, it merges into uncharted polar terrain, largely unexplored. So could they touch? On official maps, both the Grey Waste and the Beyond the Wall push up into the Arctic Circle at the top of the world. But most say it doesn't however, we don't see the full top of the globe. The map stops short, leaving the extreme north deliberately blank. Martin has said the planet is round, but it hasn't mapped the poles. We don't know if Essos Grey Waste literally touches Westeros' far north. Yes, they.
So you're saying it's north and south of.
No, it's more like north of Russia, north of Canada.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm saying like there's no. So you keep going north, you end up going south into
yes, into the other continent.
Because I mean, it could also make sense. Like, say for instance, the first Long Night was over in Essos, and the second one's in Westeros. They tried this land, it didn't work, so now they're shifting to a different spot. But Bran's just like, well, they built a giant wall over there. Let's try and build one over here.
Yeah, they built these towers to defend. I'll build a wall.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's right on the borderline of how do you pronounce Yitai?
Yitai or Yiti. I'm sorry, Yiti.
Yiti. Okay, so it's literally right on the border of Yiti and that. So obviously, it has something to do with it being there. Like the same, it would be the same way as if everything south of the wall was green, and then on the opposite side of the wall it was all snow.
Right.
It's equivalent like that.
Like a barrier that shows it. Yeah. And I want to make sure, because people have told me no way it doesn't touch, but they both could touch at the poles. We don't know where the poles end. So they could well meet in the polar region. There may be a land bridge or a frozen wasteland that connects the two continents across the top of the globe. I just always assumed it did. And then people were like, that's dumb. And I was like, come on. Both the Grey Waste and Beyond the Wall are dead, frozen, linked to the Long Night myths. If they connect, the others cold domain might not be limited to Westeros, which we know it isn't. It could be part of a global polar wasteland, reinforcing the idea that the Long Night was worldwide. That's the only way it could work, in my mind. Yeti and Ashai legends about the Long Night echo Westeros' stories, suggesting a shared catastrophe, possibly coming, radiating out of that northern part that's unmapped. So I don't know. If we had a globe, it would totally be different, but we don't. I think it's interesting though. But we'll wrap it up here. This has been cool. I'm sorry, Kirsty's been throwing it out. I love it. Seers, prophecy, and myth. Religion is heavily tied to underworld, necromancy, and attaining the gift in the state between life and death. Made me think that the woods are in the state between life and death. Oh, the weirwood trees. Or yeah, we've been asking that question for years. Are they alive or dead? They act like a dead plant and a live plant. So it's kind or tree. It's kind of interesting. What else has she brought up? 5 4 stand mute that would tie to the underworld and death like silence. Yeah, the stranger. I don't know. We've come up with some interesting things tonight. So, the Danes are descendants of the great empire of the Dawn, maybe even children of the Bloods or the Amethyst Empress. We don't know if she had kids before she became the Empress. Maybe the Valyrians are the children of the Bloodstone Emperor. And they're bound to butt heads. I don't know. All I know is the Long Night, Bloodstone Emperor, maybe the Amethyst Empress and the Danes. There's something there. Something. But what do you think, buddy, as we close it out?
I think we've had a pretty good discussion on this, and I can't wait to make a video on it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We should really do it. All right, guys. I hope you all have a great night. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry it was a little, all my notes were in different spots and a little jumbled, but next week, hopefully we'll talk about something cool again. So come back after the episode, either on Rumble or on YouTube, and tell us what you would like us to cover. And we will try to do that. Other than that, I am out and I am sporking, and this is Grant. Anything coming up you'd like to let them know?
No, just look out for a video soon.
Sweet. Yeah, keep an eye out, guys. Thank you guys for everything. Have a great night. Let's go out with the oldest intro we have for a spark of it was a stream by the crossroads then. Later, everybody. Yeah.